By the end of this video, we'll have a game that works like this. Our game says, you must guess as many values from a specific topic as possible. Every correct guess counts as a point. You have 3 lives. I'm going to choose coding languages. So I'm going to say B, press enter, and this will start the game. At the top of our program, we can see that we can type in check to see what values we have already guessed. So let me start with typing in a coding language. I'm going to say Python, and our game will say Python is the correct answer. You currently have a score of 1 under your belt. Let's choose another programming language. So we'll say C. C is the correct answer. I'm going to purposely choose a wrong answer, so I'm going to say Apple, and this will say that character does not exist. You have 2 chances left. Food, and say water. I'm going to say wow. This will end our game and provide us some feedback. It will say you managed to guess 2 characters before losing. Okay, so let's start coding this game. Now we can start the exciting part of coding our game. This program will consist of 2 functions. The first function will handle the topic choice of the game, def, and we'll create a while loop in our first function to handle the correct user input. We'll say while true, you must guess as many values from a specific topic as possible. Every correct guess counts as a point. You have 3 lives. So this makes it a bit dramatic and quite exciting. We will then create a variable called topic that handles the subject choice of the user. \n will create a line break. We will handle the subject choices using if statements. We will say if topic is equal to A and say open file equals. Now let's go into our file folder and we can see that we have 2 text files. And within our text file we have the values relating to the subject that the user will be choosing. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to use list comprehension to copy the values from our text file into a list within our program. I'm going to say line.rstrip and say \n followed by a for loop, so for line in open, and then the name of our text file. You may be wondering what rstrip does. When we take values from a text file and put them into a list, every value that is added has this line break at the end of it. rstrip removes \n from every value, which makes working with our list a lot easier. And then I'm going to say break. For user feedback, I'm going to create a global variable. I'm going to say the function name, followed by dot, a variable called subject, and I'm going to name this variable. We'll be using this variable later on in our program. I'm going to recreate this code for the second choice, which will be programming languages. After adding our second topic, I'm going to create a return function that will return the list containing the values we will use in our game. So I'm going to say return, followed by the open file variable. Next, we'll create a function that handles the gameplay of our game. I'm going to say def quiz and pass in an argument titled subject. We will have 3 variables in our gameplay. Our first variable will be correct guesses. This variable will keep track of the number of correct guesses made. Next, we'll have false guesses. This variable will keep track of the number of incorrect guesses made. Finally, we'll create a list called answered values. This list will store the values we have correctly guessed. Let's create a while loop to handle the gameplay. I'm going to create a variable called guess. This variable will ask the user to guess a word from the subject they are playing. We will use an f string to pass in the global variable we created in our previous function. If the user previously picked Avengers as the subject of their choice, it will say an Avengers character. So this will tell the user to guess either an Avengers character or a coding language depending on what subject they chose. We will convert the values inputted to lowercase to reduce false errors as Python is case sensitive. To do so, we will say lower followed by open and close brackets. To make the game a little bit clearer for our player, the player will be able to check what values they have previously typed in. This will ensure that they don't type in the same value twice by mistake. We will say if guess is equal to check, so if the user types in check, The join function will remove the horrible list formatting and only display individual values. The continue function will ignore any code below it and move on to the next iteration of the while loop. To tell the user that typing in check will provide the user with a list of values that they have already typed in, we need to create a little hint. So above the while loop, I'm going to say print. So we'll say, to see the values you have already guessed, type check. Next, we'll use an if statement to check if the user has used up all their lives. We will say if false guesses is greater than or equal to the value 3, then we will end our game. So we'll say return print followed by an f-string format and say we will pass in the correct guesses variable. So we'll tell the user you managed to guess the number of correct guesses they've made before losing. Next, we will want to handle if the user enters a correct answer. So this will check if the answer guessed is present within the database, which is the argument that has been passed into our function. We will say correct guesses plus equal to 1. This will add a value of 1 to our correct guesses variable. We will then append the correct answer value to our answer val list. So we'll say answer val, which stands for answer value. So this will add the answer that has been guessed to our answer value list. We will also remove the answered value from our game database so that the user cannot get points from typing in the same value twice. So we'll say subject.remove followed by the guessed value. Obviously, in between this, we will want to provide some feedback to the user. So just above correct guesses, we'll say print. We'll use the f-string formatting again. We'll pass in the guessed value and capitalize the first letter followed by. So we'll say the guessed value is a correct answer, and then underneath the correct guesses variable, we will tell the user what score they currently have. You currently have a score and pass in the value of correct guesses under your belt. Finally, we'll create an if statement to handle if the value guessed is incorrect. We will say elif guess. So if the guessed value is not present within our subject list, we will add a value to our false guesses variable and provide the user with some feedback. We will say that character does not exist. You have, and pass in 4 minus the number of guesses they have. Now that we've created our gameplay function, we can put it all together in our main program. So we'll call the quiz function, and within the argument over here, we scroll up, we will pass in the choose topic function. So I'm going to say quiz, open bracket, choose topic, close bracket. Alright guys, so I'm going to run our program. I'm going to choose A for Avengers, and I'm going to say Thor. And it looks like I have a score of 1. Secondly, I'm going to choose Superman. Oh, and it looks like Superman is not part of the Avengers. I'm going to choose Spider-Man. Spider-Man is a correct answer. Crocodile, we've got 2 chances left. Lil Wayne, 1 chance left. And then let me get one more incorrect answer. I'm going to choose Python, which should be an Avengers character because it's such a great programming language. And then it will end our game and it will say you managed to guess 2 characters before losing. Anyway guys, I know this was a little bit different to my previous videos, but I hope you enjoyed creating a game with me in Python. If you have any questions or you would like to see any features added, do let me know. If you would like to find the source code of this program, please check the bio in the video description below or send me a message if you're on Instagram, and I hope you have a great day. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.